Welcome to Encroachment Sports Talk. We're in the middle of going through a bunch of episodes about fantasy football. Everybody's fantasy draft is coming up. So in this episode, we're going to talk about wide receivers and who we like as sleepers and maybe a few busts to potentially stay away from. So Chris, who do you like as your sleeper candidates?
But so first, I'm going to hit you with this unwritten rule about wide receivers and see if you if you know it or not, or it's something that I just came up with. What's the breakout year for most wide receivers?
Well, for years, it's been year three.
Yeah.
But I think in the last handful of years, these receivers are coming from more advanced systems in college and they hit the ground running a little quicker. So it's kind of like year two-ish now, but it's always been year three, but I expand my filter a little bit to look at some year two receivers who blew up.
It's a perfect, and we didn't prep for this. We never do, other than just the topics. But it's a perfect lead-in for the guy that I'm going to talk about next. But before I get to him, I also think there's two things that are going on. I think you got guys that develop a little earlier than they would have normally, and then you've got guys that develop just 1 year later than they would have otherwise, because either they had a new quarterback, a new system, a new offensive coordinator, or they were injured. Mm-hmm. Two that I like that fit that bill are Jerry Jeudy, who just got carted off the field, so I hope he's okay, and Brandon Ayuk. So they're your four guys. But if you look back at their past, they're going to perform. This could be like their third year. I think they have high ceilings, both of those.
Yeah, I love Jerry Jeudy. I love his footwork. I just remember seeing video of his footwork, in his Alabama days and on to, his years with the Broncos. But he's got a hamstring injury and he was carted off the field, and he's going to miss a couple weeks, and those things can be nagging. So I personally would stay away from Jeudy only for that reason. I really love him as a player.
Yeah, he's fallen. There's no doubt about it. But I was kind of doing the prep before.
Well, good point. If you have him as a sleeper, and now he's going to be even more of a sleeper, you don't have to start a guy until he's proven he can play. And if you get him in the 7th round or something, and then when he's ready to play, he can help you down the stretch and into the playoffs.
And all these best balls that I'm playing, his stock fell because he got injured. Right. But I do think if you can get him at a reasonable spot, that's good. So the guy who's a second-year guy who fits your bill now, which is he's earlier than the 3-year rule, is Jahan Dotson. He had a pretty amazing year last year. So 523 yards, 7 TDs. I think he's set up well there because, is Sam Howell the real thing? We'll see. That's the big if, right? Is he a real NFL quarterback? We'll find out. But he's set up for success because he's got McLaurin on the other side, who takes he's an elite receiver. He takes a lot of coverage and attention. I think he's set up for a breakout year.
I'd be worried, Chris, though, about the young stud they have in Bryson Tremaine at wide receiver. I'm actually joking. I see the look on your face.
Yeah, I was going to say, who the heck is that?
Bryson Tremaine is just a shout out to a family friend from Westchester, California. He played for Stanford. He was an undrafted free agent, and he's battling to make the practice squad. So
I'm like, oh my God, how did he fall through my research?
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. That's just my shout out. Good luck to you, Brett.
Yeah, they have Curtis Samuel too, so they're stacked at the receiver position. But I like his game. I always liked his game, and
that's great.
Yeah. And let's see what else I've got. The other guy I've got is a guy I think you mentioned to me, and I started really watching him. It's Jalin Hyatt. He was very productive out of Tennessee. I went back and looked at some film. Oh my goodness! So he's good.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but there were some games where Hendon Hooker and Jalin Hyatt just, oh my God, it felt like a video game.
Oh yeah, they torched him. He kind of went under the radar a little bit. He's a 3rd-round pick, 1,300 yards, 15 TDs. He won the Biletnikoff Award last year. Did you know that? And he is excellent. He's got great hands, excellent route runner, and he's got speed. I think Daniel Jones may have a deep threat by him, and we'll see what happens with that.
That's a great call. Yeah, they don't have much in the receiver position, so he'll be given the opportunity. That's for sure.
Yeah. So, how about you?
I went with the three-year rule. And I'm going with Rashad Bateman from Baltimore. And he actually would have been a year 2 candidate, but he got hurt last year. And so it was the Liz Frank, foot surgery, but assuming he's fully recovered from that, he put up good numbers. He put up 568 yards in his rookie year. And then you start to see that production in only his 6 games last year. Right. With Lamar Jackson throwing to him, I just really feel good about Rashad Bateman. He's sharing duties with Odell Beckham Jr., who, you can't really necessarily count on him, but will also draw some attention away from him. And then a rookie in Zay Flowers, who's, highly regarded rookie, but I have a good feeling about Rashad Bateman, so he's my choice.
I always liked his game. The funny thing is on these drafts, like I've tried to give you some pure comparison, Zay Flowers is flying off the board before him in every one of these, which is crazy because he's talented, no doubt. But if you look, he's not a big guy. He's a tiny receiver. So anyway.
Yeah. And then another is a similar 3rd-year guy, Nico Collins for Carolina.
He's actually
I'm sorry, right. So you just wonder about the quarterback getting the ball to him. So
I like him a lot. I'm overexposed to him. I like him a lot.
Yeah, that's that's kind of the danger here. We're giving away secrets. My draft is tomorrow, so fortunately, none of the guys from my team watch our show. And well, they should, because it would be a competitive advantage. Maybe we'll release this after our draft.
Yeah, there you go.
Now, my bust alert is none other than Cooper Kupp. He's going top 5. The guy has been a super productive receiver, but he's going top 5. He missed 8 games last year. He tweaked a hammy in camp already. Then you got Matthew Stafford, who's also a bit of an injury risk, and then the backups to him are certainly, Ripien and Stetson Bennett. It just, obviously busts are people that are ranked high and have a chance to be a lot worse. So I think there's some red flags for Cooper Kupp, so I'm staying away from him.
I agree with you, and it's funny because he's been falling. Just based on talent alone, he is type 5, there's no doubt. But given his injury history, Stafford's injury history, and the thing that worries me about those Rams is who else is there? You can actually shadow him with a safety almost, because there's nobody else. I think Van Jefferson is their next court, and he's off and on. So I agree with you. I think he's going to get a lot of attention, and I just don't think he can hit the numbers that he's hit in the past. So.
Yeah. You got anybody else that you're avoiding at that position?
No, that's a good call. We'll see how it goes with some of these guys. I think some of these other rookies are being, again, drafted a little high. Like Addison is a great player, but he's being drafted in the top 20 receivers. So
yeah, it's tough. Those rookie receivers generally don't just burst on the scene. If you're in a keeper league, it's a different story, right? It's okay to invest in rookie receivers, but if it's not a keeper league, I tend to stay away from rookie receivers unless, Jamar Chase was probably a good call.
Yeah, and Justin Jefferson, but you get one of those every year or every couple of years, right? You barely ever get a guy who puts up, top 10 numbers in his rookie year.
Right. Yeah, it's a stacked position though. There are some really good receivers. You see Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle in 13th or 14th position. That's you have a stacked.
Yeah, it's just it is crazy. And then you look at Jacksonville, they got Ridley now. Ridley, Christian Kirk, and Zay Jones, and then you throw in the tight end Ingram. Jesus, they're just stacked there. So,
what are your thoughts on Ridley? You stay away from the game for a few years. Is he able to?
He's looking good. Everything I've seen is looking good. It's almost like he's rejuvenated. He's almost like on that year 3 or 4 path, because he took a year and a half off, basically. Yeah. So everything that I've read and seen has been really high. He's being drafted way high in the top 10 receivers.
That's the thing that's really hard nowadays with the way NFL teams manage their preseason. I haven't been following them, but most teams don't play their starters, you know, almost at all. And so
they'll play in those joint practices, but you won't get access to that stuff. You only get the beat reporter, right?
Right.
So you got to be really. You're absolutely right. You have no idea some of these guys how they're doing.
Yeah. Well, thanks as always for the great insight, and we'll be back with another episode on quarterbacks and tight ends.
Sounds good.